Joining me now from Tel Aviv in Israel is former British Army Commander Colonel Richard Kemp. Richard, good afternoon to you. I mean, let's just pick up on that just incredibly distressing and heartbreaking story of a 10-month-old baby. It almost tells us everything we need to know about Hamas, that you would use a young baby as a pawn in this game. It's breathtaking.
Yeah, and it is breathtaking, but at the same time, it is not surprising. Hamas killed several babies on the 7th of October when they attacked Israel. And they've also used babies and children as human shields against Israel as Israel tries to attack them inside Gaza. So to Hamas, doesn't matter what the age is, old people, young people, babies, even unborn babies, it's irrelevant to them. If they can be beneficial to them, they will expend them in any way they like. That's the nature of this organization. Let's not forget, they even cut a baby out from its mother's womb during the attack on the 7th of October before killing both of them.
And the smart money, Richard, seems to suggest that this baby will be taken to the south. That, of course, is where the next part of this war, we understand, may or is planned to continue. And that, of course, will compromise Israel somewhat, or certainly that would be the Hamas thinking.
Yeah, I think the likelihood is that those hostages that remain in Hamas imprisonment are in the south, and the baby probably with them or heading there, whatever. But that's where I think most hostages will be, and that will in turn be a problem for Israel, as indeed the enormous Palestinian population that now exists in the south of Gaza will be a problem for Israel in attempting to resume operations and destroy Hamas among the civilian population.
And in terms of the ceasefire, so we are sort of fifth day after this 48-hour extension now. And that's welcome, of course. You know, there's no bombs are being fired and aid is getting through and all the rest of it. However, you know, Israel have said we stand ready to continue as soon as this is over. Do we just keep going full circle on this and extending, or do you sense this is the last pause in fighting?
Yeah, Hamas have breached the ceasefire. Actually, there's reporting today from the IDF that the terrorists detonated 3 different bombs near Israeli troops and opened fire on them, and there were some Israelis wounded as a consequence. It's not clear yet what Israel's response is going to be, whether Israel decides that is a breach that was maybe outside of the control of Hamas, in other words, low-level terrorists acting independently. Whether it was sufficiently serious to end the ceasefire, we'll have to see about that. But that, again, is not surprising, because in the past, Hamas many times have broken ceasefires in this way. I think the real danger here, of course, as you rightly said earlier, the release of the hostages is extremely welcome news, and hopefully more will be released. I think we're on something like 76 as at the moment, but that still leaves a very large number, well over 100 in captivity, some of whom may be alive, some may be dead. But nevertheless, the IDF will be fixed on trying to get them back. And that gives Hamas a kind of trump card in a way, because I think there's a risk that they will continue to drip feed hostages back towards Israel, or hold out that hope and expectation with the intention of extending the ceasefire. They need this ceasefire above all. They're on the back foot. They've been very badly hit. They're trying to survive, and they need breathing space to do that. And I think there's a real risk that this ceasefire could extend and extend and extend, with, on top of that, pressure piled on by the United States to Israel not to resume combat operations, which then leaves Hamas in a position of survival where it can continue to be a threat to Israel.
Just a word, Richard, if you would, on these tunnels. We understand that Hamas essentially exist and operate from these what were secret tunnels. Some have been uncovered, of course, by the Israelis, and we've seen some footage of that. These are fairly ambitious tunnels in that respect. We understand, you know, armory and all sorts of things are kept there, possibly hostages as well. And headquarters exist in some of these tunnels underneath places like hospitals, etc. What more do we know on those things?
Well, the tunnels are an incredible feat of engineering. I've been into some of the Gaza tunnels myself, They're extremely well constructed. They are not what you might expect. A tunnel, you've got to crawl down there, that you can walk down it standing up straight. They've got concrete walls, concrete roofs, they've got concrete floors and air conditioning, electrical supply inside them. An incredible feat of engineering, all of course constructed using money that should have been used to modernize hospitals, to build hospitals, schools, other facilities for the people of Gaza who have suffered over many years as a result of Hamas funds or Gazan funds being used by Hamas for warlike purposes. But they are used, as you say, they're used as headquarters, they're used as ammunition stores, they're used to move terrorists around. And of course, the network, which some people have described, I'm not sure if it's accurate, some have described as being even more extensive than the London Underground network beneath Gaza. Some of them have and will be used for Hamas terrorists to escape because they also connect up with tunnels that go under the border with Egypt. But in real military terms, not only do they provide Hamas with places to shelter and escape from land or air attack, but also they give them the opportunity to get behind IDF troops and ambush them from the rear once they move through a certain area. So they're an incredibly sophisticated and well-constructed network that itself will have to be, as well as the terrorists in it, will have to be destroyed as the operation progresses.